Welcome to Corrective Consciousness episode 236. I'm your host, vysethebold, and this is...
Lotus Prince.
And Dracologist, I'm not playing around.
Oh, wow. Dracologist knows how to say his own name, unlike the two of us.
You were playing around plenty on Recon, as far as I remember.
What?
Well, yeah, I just bought new games. I'm having fun.
Fair enough.
That's not how I remember it. But we are here for another amazing episode here. We're off to a not-so-stilted start. But we are going to do the final episode of our James Bond media.
What a read.
My name is Bold. Wise, Bold.
Bold. Vise the bold. But yeah, James Bond media franchise, retrospective. And it's really good to have Dracologist on here because, we were going to finish up things by talking about the Daniel Craig era and also the video games associated with it. But we do have a look back here in terms of the personal computing space in Europe at the time, back in the 80s and 90s. If you will broaden our horizons a little bit, because of course we don't have a lot of experience in that area.
There was in the Commodore 64 era. It was the same era where James Bond movies were active, so it was obvious that they would try to capitalize on that. And there was a couple of games that was made in the James Bond.
Yeah, the Timothy Dalton era was right around then, right?
I don't know. 84. What was in 84?
I don't
that was
know.
Timothy Dalton, I believe. Let me double check. 85 was A View to a Kill, which is the last Roger Moore one. And then Living Daylights is the first Timothy Dalton, and then License to Kill is the second Timothy Dalton. So you had actually, the 80s had 2 Roger Moores and 2 Timothy Daltons. Or 3 Roger Moores, actually. For Your Eyes Only, Octopussy, and A View to a Kill.
As you can imagine, these games were very simple. One of the first Commodore 64 game I remember was basically an iteration on the game Moon Buggy, if you know that game. When you drive a little 6-wheeled car on the surface of the moon and you blast away rocks or jump over them.
Jump over pits. Yeah.
Yes, and it was basically like you are driving some sort of sports car with James Bond. You avoid obstacles with jumping over them, or when you are driving your car transforms into a boat and you can dive under obstacles. There was one little I don't know if it was made by intentionally, or was it an oversight, but there is a moment it's play at the levels are playing at night, and there are obstacles that you can't see because they are black like the background.
Oh.
And the only way you can see it is you shoot down a special enemy that these sparkling little diamonds that flash the background, and you can actually see where the enemies are.
Jeez.
There were another game like that, sort of semi-mode 7 style games where you're driving a boat through this various rivers, and I think it was a Wife to a Wife to a Kill remake. No.
Yeah, the crazy vehicle chases are pretty on brand for Roger Moore era movies.
Yeah, I wish they explored that more. I mean, they had that 007 racing game that wasn't very good, but that should be that game Chase HQ, where you're chasing somebody down and you kind of you smack up their car to bits with your kind of sports car.
No, it was
sports car. They should have something like that, I mean, they have Spy Hunter, right?
I was actually going to mention Spy Hunter. It's not actually Bond, but it feels like it could be.
Yeah, I mean, it has all the trappings. I mean, like the oil slicks and the like the spikes in the tires,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
all that
that
kind of
those
stuff.
those were cool stuff. And so Live and Let Die was like this both sort of shoot 'em up style game where you like,
Sure.
and there was also License to Kill where which was a sort of top down, either vehicular combat or on foot like shootouts. It was kind of like Ikari Warriors or Commando, only you are playing as James Bond. So you like you had a headgun that you had to manage your ammunition and such. Later on in like the DOS era, there was what is it called? Uh, Operation Stealth or Stealth James Bond: The Stealth Affair, which was not which was not exactly the name of the game. Like that the original name was the Stealth Operation Stealth, and it was mostly just a spoof on uh, James Bond. Like the main character called is like Baines John or something like that.
Oh, some bullshit. Yeah.
And because they didn't get the license, far as I now remember, and the game is kind of played out like semi-serious with semi-comical. Like there are some moments there where like the game is kind of like very silly. If you are interested, like Yahtzee, like the band Croshaw Yahtzee had made a let's play of it with his Australian friend, and it's really funny. So you can look it up if you are not if
Nice.
you're not interested in the game. What else? What else James Bond games were there? As far as I know, these were the most of it. But as you can imagine, there was several like iterations that were present. Most,
Fair enough.
if I look into it, there were games
I
that
feel like the '80s and the '90s, like the early '90s before we got to the Pierce Brosnan era, we had a lot of like imitations of the Bond formula, like because like there was like a big gap in between the Timothy Dalton stuff and the Pierce Brosnan stuff. And Pierce Brosnan was in kind of like a James Bondy type show, Remington Steele. And you also had like Moonlighting and a few other TV shows that were kind of like similar properties. You had
as well this agent sort
MacGyver.
of this action agent in the secret agent genre is often called the Kiss Kiss Bang Bang. So
Yeah, yeah.
and
Have you ever
I
seen that movie? That movie's funny, by the way.
I didn't have the chance. I'm not a big movie watcher, but I think like there are games.
Kiss Kiss Bang Bang is quite good.
Okay, there are like games where like basically just text adventures, which actually fits the game. Like you are trying to agent around with like a point and click adventure game is what basically the stealth affair is.
Yeah,
Uh,
you know what? They should have made a Lucas Arts esque point and click um, James Bond game. I don't know why they never did something like that.
uh,
It's mostly been action
Again,
games.
Delphine did, but it was a little awkward. Like there were moments as
No,
much.
but I mean, like it was similar to like the Indiana Jones ones they made.
Well,
Like
like you,
something fun, something good.
maybe they didn't get the license proper. Couldn't get the license. I think they might have.
Yeah, that's a shame they never did something like that because
Uh,
James Bond is perfect for that kind of
I
thing.
honestly would like the Roger. Either wanted to say either a Sean Connery version or the Roger Moore version. But if they like, I would say who is like what was that company? Telltale Games would make a James Bond game with with in the style of Roger Moore or Sean Connery. Like either very serious and agent like proper style in Sean Connery, or this more slightly Hollywood playfulness with
Yeah, like
Yeah,
my mom
like
always
almost Looney
refers.
Tunes.
Well, yeah, like my mom always refers to Roger Moore as the dapper Bond, and his movies are definitely where they started to get like intentionally silly.
Yeah,
I
there's a
always
higher cheese factor.
Yes, but I always liked his movies better. I
They're
think
they're fun, but yeah, they're definitely a different attitude from the predecessors.
Yeah, I feel like that like Pierce Brosnan is like and even Timothy Dalton was kind of a stark contrast to those Roger Moore ones. Like they were much more much more stoic.
Yeah, Pierce Brosnan's movies had some winks for sure, but like
They got
Roger
goofier over
Moore had
time.
fucking sound effects in his movies.
I mean, the first Roger Moore one had that fucking blow up, like that balloon blow up.
Oh, Live and Let Die.
Yeah, Live and Let Die. Jesus
know,
Christ.
Yeah, where they shot the bullet at you that makes you pop like a balloon.
well, it was
terrible.
it was basic. It wasn't like just he stuffed air pressure bullet into his little guy's mouth
Yeah,
because like
there's no blood or anything. You literally pop like a balloon.
Yeah, but like it made me even think about like you ever see Spy Hard, the
Nah.
Leslie Nielsen
that was amusing.
comedy version, parody. He did like comedic versions of it. Like he had one like The Fugitive was like wrongfully accused.
That was funny.
a few different ones.
I love his movies.
Yeah, and Naked Gun and Airplane are obviously like the best ones, but like he also had like the sub tier ones like Spy Hard, and Spy Hard was one of the better ones in that category. It's a C level movie, not like a D or F like some of them.
The only thing I've seen of Spy Hard was the parody of a Bond opening sequence
I was just
sung
gonna
by
say
Weird Al, which
did
was pretty great.
Yeah, they did the Weird Al
Where he holds the final note for like longer than I think is literally humanly possible. Like they like made fun of the concept because Tom Jones sang
I was gonna say
Thunderball.
this.
And yeah, he had to hold that note so long. I think he actually passed out by the end because he's really like belting it. So they made fun of that by holding the word hard, like you're watching Spy Hard, and he holds that note for like something stupid. It's like 30-40 seconds or whatever.
And his head explodes, I think, at the end.
Yeah, which
For no good reason.
is physically, it's scientifically accurate. His head violently explodes.
But my point is that like in Spy Hard, you would expect the parody to have like the stupid like balloon pop
Yeah.
bad guy, and it actually happened in the real one, which is like ridiculous to me.
Yeah,
well, in the one of the I think in License to Kill, like it had the most gruesome body count on that in that movie. Like one guy was killed in a pressure chamber, or one guy got impaled by a
Is that the
forklift.
one where they're skiing and shooting each other in that one?
No, that I don't remember which one was that, but I remember that there's like one guy falls in front of like a snow chewing machine and gets chopped up.
Jesus.
Oh yeah.
No, the main corny. This is going in the other direction. The main corny thing I remember. I don't remember which movie it was. Maybe the one where they're skiing and shooting because it's snow related.
Yeah.
But where Bond, for some reason, I forgot why he had to go there, but he's in an indoor like ice hockey rink, and a bunch of silent opponents in full hockey gear approach him and start fighting him. And as he's taking them out and like knocking them away from him, they all slide into the opposing goal, and you hear like the grrr, like when it scores. It's like, oh, come on.
It's so stupid. Like anytime you see like Jaws survive re-entry, like Jesus
yeah,
Christ.
Jaws got outright cartoonish in like Moonraker. He became a sort of lovable character, but he was scary
Well,
when
the
first time he ever appeared.
The actor is I'm not want to say insulting, but he is an absolute ogre of a man.
He's huge.
Very imposing. Yeah.
He's gigantic. My favorite part, and I don't even think this was supposed to be funny, but like this is where like one of the big Bond tropes, where the villain had like a trapdoor that drops you into something, but it was into like a shark tank, and Bond like dropped Jaws in there because he like manned an electromagnet and caught Jaws by the fucking teeth because he's got those metal teeth.
Wow.
And he drops him into the shark tank.
And
Jaws fucking bites the shark. It's like, what? And like the villain's fortress explodes at the end, and Jaws is already like way far away, swimming away. Like, god damn. That's amazing.
I mean, Like, who needs Austin Powers when you're already this goofy?
Yeah,
I mean,
I know, right?
Honestly.
That's why Austin Powers had to settle for parodying the very early Bond movies.
Well, there's some Moonraker as time goes on in the second one.
Well, the second movie, yeah.
Yeah.
As a child, I always was like absolutely enamored by the various little spy gadgets.
Oh
They
yeah,
were,
I
they're
love
they're
that kind of
fun.
stuff.
They're fun.
The more realistic and the more like applicable, the better. Like the best
Yeah,
applications.
Yeah, obviously.
There were a few things where they were applicable, but like, should this incredibly specific situation that could only happen in this movie come up, this will be the time to use it. Like, there's a few of those.
I particularly really like the gadgets in From Russia with Love because they were very practical.
Yeah.
And it was they were.
Did you finish that movie?
I didn't get a chance to. It moved off of
Russia
off
with
of
is that the one
services,
with
and
the
all you can do
giant
is
sea
rent it
base?
now. I'm sorry.
Russia with Love is the giant one with the giant sea base.
I wouldn't know. I didn't get that far.
I
of
don't
course.
think
They were still in
so.
Turkey.
No, I think that fight concludes like on a train.
Yeah, they were still in Turkey when I left. They were. In the,
Oh no, wait,
Gypsy
that was maybe
colony.
that was Spy Who Loved Me.
Maybe it's been a while for me. I just remember From Russia with Love was, I think, like entirely land based.
I seen almost all the oldies. I think like Roger Moore, Sean Connery, maybe some of the later ones, but I only saw one of the Pierce Brosnan. Saw only one of the Pierce Brosnan ones.
Those
Yeah.
movies are for the most part very fun, especially GoldenEye.
Yeah, so I do have to move on here before we run out of time.
Okay.
We have broached the subject on a couple of the Daniel Craig movies.
Yeah,
so,
just a bit.
which is the most modern era. In fact, we're waiting for the ultimate, the final Daniel Craig one to be released, and it just keeps getting pushed back due to COVID. But the bad guys, the actors who have played the bad guys in Daniel Craig's are probably my favorite. They're just so good.
I don't know. Honestly, I think I kind of dropped out because they become like just porn movies.
Quantum of Solace was a slog, but Skyfall I mostly loved. The end of
I
that
love
movie's like Home Alone, weirdly. But
yeah,
otherwise, I
but
quite
like in a
that
good
movie.
way. Yeah.
Like, it's fun to watch, but it's like, what are we doing? But like,
Yeah.
otherwise, I mostly like the movie.
I really like that one. Casino Royale, I think, is perfect.
That is possibly the best Bond movie.
Yeah, it's really good. The only
Woody
thing
Allen's
that-
performance.
the only thing I can level at it as a criticism is I think the final act, where he's chasing her down in Venice, is I think that's too extra. I think they could have just said she got away with it, and that was it.
Okay. There was only one thing that kind of lost me, and I wouldn't say it's the movie's fault, because a lot of that movie, well, a lot of the book centers around Baccarat, but the movie they updated the Texas Hold'em, but whatever.
I mean, more
But-
people just know how to play that, so
Yeah,
it
like,
just makes
fine.
sense.
But the only thing that kind of lost me is, you know the dramatic reveal where he draws the royal flush?
Yeah.
That doesn't mean anything to me because it's a movie. Like, it's
Oh.
not like you're watching it live. Holy shit, he drew a royal flush. It's like,
I mean,
it's
very rare. It's very improbable to have a royal flush.
well, I mean, but not even. But like the fact that like they're doing like they're turning over one card at a time. But as an audience member watching a movie, like, there's only one way this could possibly go. Like,
Yeah.
you just finish the scene.
Oh, by the
but
way,
it-
just quick question: which James Bond movie that had Roy Schneider as the main villain?
Oh no,
I don't know who that is.
he's the guy from Jaws, right?
And Sequest, the SV.
Yeah, Roy Scheider. Let me take a look here.
Yeah, I wouldn't know. I don't know that name.
Hold on.
Even if I've seen the movie he was in.
Yeah, he was in the. He's famously the main character of Jaws.
I haven't
So-
even seen Jaws.
You need to see Jaws.
I don't know if I do. Like, I've
Really?
seen clips and like, I get it.
I it's all about the pacing. You know,
Do-do.
he was in Marathon Man, which is kind of James Bondish. He was in Deer Hunter.
I've seen none of these.
Yeah,
He was in Blue Thunder.
I don't know that one.
Which I also have not seen.
Blue Thunder
was
was
in-
the combat police helicopter movie.
He was in 2010, the sequel to 2001: Space Odyssey. I remember that. Yeah.
Haven't seen that either, although I actually have seen Space Odyssey.
2010's actually not bad if you don't expect to get a Kubrick movie.
It's not Kubrick again.
Yeah, no, it is not. It is very much a watchable movie.
Yeah.
And this is coming from 2001: Space Odyssey is my favorite, literally my favorite movie.
It's your favorite movie? Whoa,
It's
I didn't know
literally
we
my
had
favorite movie.
Hideo Kojima on the call. Incredible.
Get outta here. But it's literally my favorite movie, and I realize that it's impenetrable to most people, and I don't expect people to like it. But
in any case, I still don't know who this person is.
I don't see Roy Scheider being in any of them, dude. I don't know where you're getting that from. Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah, Blue Thunder.
I kind of remember, but maybe that was making a mistake. The bad guy was some sort of media mogul who was like making wars just to.
Oh, that's Tomorrow Never Dies.
Yeah, that's Tomorrow Never Dies, and that's not Roy Scheider.
Huh.
Yeah, let me look up who that was, because that's an actor I've seen in a few movies, but I don't know his actual name.
Yeah, Tomorrow Never Dies had
that's Jonathan Price.
Jonathan Price.
Yeah.
Why did
Yeah, that guy was fun.
Yeah, but we should move on to Quantum of Solace, because we've talked a
and
bit
then
about
quickly
Casino
move
Royale.
off of Quantum of Solace.
Yeah, Quantum of
Okay.
Solace really felt like it was affected by the writer's strike of the era. It was like 2008.
Remember that time that one woman was killed and then they find her covered in oil, and I was like, oh, that's a Goldfinger reference.
Yep.
Ew.
And her name was Strawberry Fields.
I'm not even mad because every Bond girls need something stupid.
Yeah, but still.
I mean, yeah, like, all right, yeah. At least it isn't a freaking sexual name this time.
It's out of place in the Daniel Craig
James Bond
universe, where things are mostly serious.
Yeah.
This one introduces kind of a continuity to the Bond films of this era.
That is true. It's like an actual sequel to Casino Royale, because even the Connery movies, they're not necessarily directly sequels of each other.
Yeah, they're very episodic, very Saturday morning cartoon. This is the bad guy he's fighting this time. This is the bad guy he's fighting this time.
Daniel Craig movies are I never really thought about that, but the Daniel Craig movies might be the first serial Bond movies.
Yeah, even the Pierce Brosnan ones don't really reference.
I always thought of them as sequels, but they're another adventure.
Yeah, Quantum of Solace is the first time where emotions carry over, psychology. The character's actual feelings and the how the job is affecting him.
Which is carried further into Skyfall.
So the big problem with this one, especially, is the directing isn't very good. It has a lot of shaky cam.
A lot of shaky. I mean, we discussed this already, but a lot of shaky cam.
More than any other movie I've ever seen. In fact, I can't think of anything that is as tough to watch as this.
Yeah,
one,
literally hard to watch.
The Bourne movies kind of have that style, but this was aping off of it and not doing it as well. So the Bourne movies are much more preferable to this movie.
Also a few more firsts. This might... I'm not 100% about this, but there's a lot of subtitles in this movie with people talking other languages, and American movies, or movies that are released in English at the very least. I'm not used to that happening. Also, there is... This pissed me off. It's not the movie's fault at all. It's the theater's fault. But you know how before some movies, there are trailers and everything, but you know how before those, sometimes just to occupy your time, they give you little trivia
cards
questions
and stuff? Yeah.
There was a trivia one, and it asked me, and Dracologist, see if you know this one. One of the questions was, what is the only Bond movie where the opening theme, the big theme song for the movie, is not sung by one person but two, like a duet.
To be honest, I watched them like 20 or say so years
Fair
ago.
enough,
So
fair enough. Vice, any idea?
This must either be a Sean Connery or a Roger Moore one, because I don't think it's a Pierce Brosnan one.
Well, you're right in that it's not a Pierce Brosnan one. It was fucking Quantum of Solace, the movie I'm coming to see.
Oh, jeez.
How the fuck you want me to get that unless I've seen every Bond movie before that?
Oh, jeez. That's how
bullshit.
forgettable it
Like,
was.
again, I'm not mad at Quantum of Solace, but like, that's a bullshit question to ask unless it's my second time watching O Quantum of Solace.
Yeah. Who was it? Who did the duet?
I don't know.
Oh, okay.
I saw that movie in theaters and never again. I don't freaking know.
Yeah, this is one of the unfortunately one of the worst ones.
This was a rough watch.
Oh, this is Jack
watch.
White and Alicia Keys. Okay.
Okay, I was just gonna Google it, but you beat me to it.
Jack White is fantastic. That's a shame.
Is he like the Bizarro Jack Black?
Yes, and in fact, they were actually going to do a project called Jack Gray, and not even lying.
That's fucking amazing.
Yeah. I don't know what came of it, but they were actually working on it.
That's brilliant.
But Jack White's like really picky about stuff, so it might not even ever get released or whatever.
That was you and Tenacious D. I'm off.
Well, he might have even like recorded a whole album, and we'll just never see it. Kind of like Prince. That kind of thing. This was a big shame because Casino Royale's so fucking good.
As is the theme song, by the way.
Everything about it is good. Everything about Casino Royale is a great movie, and you go from that to such a low here. It's not even a mediocre.
Yeah, this
Bond
was
movie.
pretty weak.
It's a bad one.
I only remember a couple of things about the movie. I know that the villain wanted to control water, which is a very legitimate, believable.
Because it's a thing going on.
Right, it was Nestle.
Like Nestle wants to steal water from.
Yeah, the real villain is a corporation.
Yeah.
But that's a very legit villain plan. We know because it's real. But also, one of the only other things I remember about that movie was a cool. I don't even know if it was a special effect. They might have done it where like the plane lifts off.
Oh yeah.
Like right next to those trucks, and it like the force of it lifting off just blows them like in the air and away. I was like, oh shit.
Yeah, and the the finale of this movie kind of was kind of a letdown because it at the time I don't think we realized it was supposed to be a teaser for like the next movie or what's coming on the horizon. But like basically the big revelation happens off screen, which and the big thing is that he finds out that there is the quantum and that they exist and that they are working against for world domination, and it really stings.
And by the way, pretty corny that they're called the quantum because there's a part in the movie where he gets, I forgot what he was even for because I've only seen this movie once, but there's a part in the movie where he gets a relief over something that was guilt tripping him for the whole movie or making him frustrated or whatever it was.
Yeah.
And there's a part where he sits on like a bed or a chair and he's just like, whew. Then he gets back up and moves along, and that was literally the Quantum of Solace.
Yeah, that's.
But no, there's an evil Spectre group called the Quantum. I get fuck you.
Yeah, so that transitions to Skyfall, which again is one of the best Bond movies.
Skyfall
really
was
good.
Damn good.
I really like Skyfall a lot, and it might even be better than GoldenEye for me. I love GoldenEye.
The Home Alone thing at the end, while fun to watch, was just corny. I'm gonna go with GoldenEye just for that. Although again, Skyfall is a damn good movie.
Yeah, so there's nothing to be upset about. Like liking this movie, it's really good.
Also, a nice little wink, by the way, is that movie directly addresses two things. One, which if you'd read the books you would have known, I guess, or maybe the really old movies, I forgot, but they reinforce it, is the world is not enough, is like the family motto. And the other is that like you see his parents' grave, so like his real name is James Bond.
James Bond. Yeah.
Why the fuck is a spy using his real name?
Yeah, that's true.
Like,
it is not a code name at all.
Like 007 James Bond is something like someone is like a mental. Someone
Yeah,
like
it's
people
not
just take
though.
them.
In this movie, it's confirmed that his actual name is James Bond.
Well, in 1960s Casino Royale, that was actually like a part of the movie, is that there's tons of James Bonds. It was
Yeah.
great. Like everyone's like, that's like their fan theory. What if there were multiple? Like they were just called James Bond. That explains why Sean Connery doesn't look like Roger Moore. And like the first ever Bond movie did that, and no one saw it because it's dumb.
What's cool about this one though is that kind of like what they started out doing with GoldenEye. They have like the retired double O agent that turns on the agency.
Yeah, because fuck this. It's like in Star Wars when all of a sudden you realize, wait, the Jedi suck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So played by Javier Bardem, who's like one of the best actors to play a villain ever.
Yeah, like I first heard of him in No Country for Old Men, and
He's a fucking
nailed
beast in that
it.
movie.
Yeah.
He's one of the best villains of all time in that particular movie, and he follows it up in a different type of performance in Skyfall.
Very
and
different.
Still,
he's borderline
still very
flamboyant in that movie.
in Skyfall. He's almost Heath Ledger-esque, like the Heath Ledger's Joker. It's bordering on that.
A little like I'm having fun with this kind of. Also, by the way, backtracking for a second, when you mentioned Q, you like the Q stuff being practical and
Pared
makes
down.
sense.
Yeah.
A gun and a radio.
Yep, that was it.
Can't go wrong there. I still love that in the movie though.
Skyfall's whole deal was that it was supposed to be stripped down.
It's grounding down, yeah. But I do love though when Daniel Craig gets the equipment issued to him, and it's like not exactly Christmas, is it? Like, yep.
I think this because like as modern day goes, like technology changes a little bit. Well, a lot.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
like the digitalization and stuff like that makes you like don't have to carry like a passport falsifying equipment like that.
Yeah.
In the
What if
electric
you need
razor.
an erector set helicopter? Like not this movie.
Those were charming. Like I
They
do
were,
remember,
but they're kind of charming because they're dumb. Like you're just looking at it, and it's like it's so cool to see it built, but at the same time, you're like, really?
Like,
This
why would
tiny-
you need to use this? And oh god, you are using it. Okay.
like you have a like inside a horse carrier there is a tiny jet. That's
Yeah.
awesome. Like you want something like as a kid.
Yeah, that's exactly it. Wouldn't it be cool if? And then you're an adult, and you're like,
No.
it's still kind of cool, but it's fucking stupid.
And
Would it be
dangerous.
cool if we had a van, Lotus?
Yeah.
And even like the bad guys had interesting stuff. Like for some reason the image of that like when the bad guy and James Bond are playing this open quote world domination game where like you only see like little laser lights and like the shapes of countries are like they shooting each other with bombs.
Mm.
Like
Yeah,
I
very
don't
missile
like-
command, but multiplayer.
like some sort of they are playing this sort of game where you have to conquer the world through the nuclear bombing and is it like something like that. And there was like a high stakes game, but like they putting electric charges on, like there was like this armband or something to put on their arms that jolts them if they lose. And
Well, you know what that makes me think of though is like in Batman Forever, where they're playing Battleship for real by detonating mines over where they thought like the Bat boat was, and like, I mean that was framed
So
as like
corny.
goofy shit, but it just makes me think of that.
Joel Schumacher.
Yeah.
R.I.P. man. But Skyfall was also interesting because they also kind of introduced some other continuity kind of things that you wouldn't expect a Bond movie to directly address.
Well, the very end of the movie really got me. They pulled a Rogue One before Rogue One.
Yeah, so I mean, this movie is old at this point, so I'm just gonna come out and say it. M was played by Dame Judi Dench back in the Pierce Brosnan era,
Yeah.
and
Money
she
penny.
had continued to be M all throughout all of the Daniel Craig movies, and she. This is her last movie and passes on the mantle to a new M. So M is a code name.
Yeah, but you know what really got me about it though was, do you remember what it looked like when Bond walked into the new M's office at the very end of the movie?
I forget.
It was like that big, distinctive-looking door from like the '60s movies,
Oh yeah.
and M was a man. So they Rogue One'd it. It's like it implies that the Daniel Craig movies are all like prequels.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Because like Rogue One
Well,
concludes with them like transitioning directly into like what will in the next 10 seconds be the opening scene of A New Hope. So Daniel Craig goes through that. I forgot what that how to describe that door, but
Yeah,
like
no, I
it's
gotcha.
it's that
It's a
door
double
from
door.
the it's funny because it's actually very anachronistic in a modern Bond movie. Like a door like that, it just looks like it's old because it literally is.
Yeah.
And he walks into like the male M's office, and I'm like, oh my god, they're transitioning into like the Sean Connery movies. It was crazy.
It's funny because he has like Sean Connery's car too. It like Daniel Craig actually has Sean Connery's car.
Yeah, the
I'm-
Goldfinger car. It was
Yeah.
funny too because when it like gets damaged, you see Daniel Craig like, oh, like,
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
oh, you don't want this.
He's like wincing.
He's like, oh, this sucks.
Yeah, but it's super interesting. I mean, we did have one other transition that was kind of like this before, and it was when the original Q passed away and John Cleese took over as the new Q. In continuity.
Yeah, where they were joking about that, like, so what do you are?
No, and Q is literally actually stands for something in universe. Do you know what it stands for?
I think I did, but I forgot what it was.
Q
I know they say
stands
like
for
Q. I
quarterman.
know they say like you have to go to Q branch, so the guy Q runs Q branch, so the Q actually does mean something else.
Q means quartermaster.
There,
in
yeah,
the
that makes
Bond
sense.
universe.
Yeah,
So like that's why he hooks them up with all the gadgets.
yeah.
And weapons.
Some of them, I love those stupid gadgets in the background. Like the guy's like
Like
in a
in the
wheelchair
telephone
with his
booth.
leg out in a cast, but then his foot shoots a fucking rocket. You're like what?
Yeah, like one of the like the door that has if you open like try to lift the handle, it just slams on you.
Yeah, or like the one guy in a phone booth where like an airbag goes off and the guy's just
Trapped.
stupidly trapped in a phone booth. Like what?
It's a good way to get.
How are you going to deploy that?
So,
good way to incapacitate someone.
we
If
do
you can get them to use a payphone,
Well, not in these days, but back in that days, like
even
was
back
an
then,
option.
how would you arrange? It's so weird.
Well, we do have to move on to the last one that has been released, which is Spectre.
Yeah, that was kind of
also
for me.
bad.
And it was a shame too, because the villain was played by Christoph Waltz, who was just like
The best villain ever.
untouchable in the last
Yeah.
several movies he's been in, and I still like his performance, but the movie wasn't very good.
And Dave Bautista had a good role in it as Mr. Hinks.
Yeah, I didn't even realize that was him. That was great.
Monica Bellucci is also the oldest Bond girl to ever be in a film. I think she was in the 40s at the time.
Nice.
So, like, I mean, there were a lot of like good bones in this. Like,
yeah, and even Bautista, like, that was a bit of like a throwback. I mean, Spectre is its own existence, and Blofeld's existence is a throwback. But Dave Bautista, like the silent guy who just chases you down, like the very distinctive henchman, like that's pretty old Bond. Like that was kind of nice.
yeah, it almost had like Jaws vibes, even though they didn't make him goofy.
Like his first appearance was fucking nuts.
Oh, you
when
don't
it's
you don't
like-
want to you don't want to mess with him.
Yeah, there's like, well, here's our table of villains, but we only want this many people, so what can you do to convince us that you should join us? And he just fucking kills one of the people at the table, like, right there in front of everybody, and just sits down, and they're like, oh, okay.
Yeah, he's
It's
fucking
amazing. And he kills
scary
him
in this
brutally, too.
Yeah, so there are good points about this movie. Like the direction is a lot better than Quantum of Solace. Not that it has to try very hard, but and this was the same director as Skyfall, so everybody expected it to be really good. It was directed by Sam Mendes, so
It had good ideas.
it had good ideas, but like the execution was terrible. They revealed that in the most ham-fisted, stupid reveal of all time that Blofeld is James Bond's brother.
I
which
really wish
makes
they didn't
no
do that.
fucking
Yeah,
sense.
I
It
heard
makes
about
no
that.
fucking sense. It just doesn't. It's stupid. It's dumb, and I wouldn't be surprised that in the new one, No Time to Die, that they totally retcon that. Like,
No, I was actually going to say, you know what I want to see super bad, and they will not do it, because it's stupid, which is kind of why I want to see it. I want them to...
Drop him down a
drop him in a
smokestack.
smokestack. Mr. Bond.
Drop Christoph Waltz down a fucking smokestack.
Well, no,
for 5 minutes.
that's the beauty of it. Do it like in the old movie where it's not even Christoph Waltz, like you never see his
just
face.
like the back of his head and
Yeah, some guy.
weird
It's
ADR.
like obviously edited. You know what they're doing. It's like what The Boys did. Like, I'm not gonna be in this fucking scene, so like the only time they talk to Homelander is like the back of his head, and you're like, I know what you're doing. Just do that shit.
It's so
That'd
funny.
be the funniest thing. Like they're doing it again. It sucked then too. It's
mean,
like, yes, it did.
This also has one of the like, other than Casino Royale, which wins the award for best torture scene of in a Bond film, and
That
by
was
best
fucking
I mean
rough.
most brutal. The one in Spectre is also sucks.
Yeah, like in
terrible.
Casino Royale, they were like, "We need this shit from you. We're gonna start fucking torturing you. It's not even my style, but I am fucking desperate." Meanwhile, Christoph Waltz is like, "I've been waiting for this my whole life," and you're like, "Oh no."
Yeah, so the torture scene in this movie is quite good, quite disturbing, and it was really good. In that sense, but like the reveal was terrible. The writing's bad. The writing in this one, and this is the sequel to Quantum of Solace, basically, because they reveal that Quantum of Solace is Spectre, essentially. So
Yeah.
or Quantum.
Well, I don't mind that because it's like, oh, we gotta go against the organization Quantum. Like, it's Spectre. It's fine.
I don't mind that, but like Blofeld is his brother. What are you doing?
Yeah, that's
Why
bullshit.
are you Star Warsing this? You don't need to.
And what also left a bad taste in my mouth was presenting him with like an unwinnable dilemma. Like, do you save this or do you save that? But they contrived a way to do both.
Yeah,
like Batman Forever legitimately did that better, where like he's like, I'm able to do both things because like I'm exercising something you hadn't thought of. But Bond is just like just too good at what he sets out to do, and that's it, kind of it.
Yeah, and apparently the No Time to Die. I mean, there's some major hype behind this one, even though it keeps getting pushed off. No Time to Die looks great. The bits that we've seen of it, the directing, and it also seems like a final movie.
And I hope, because this is borderlining on like superstition. But the last time we had a die in the title, that almost killed the Bond series.
Die Another Day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The American-made Bond movie.
Yeah, it's terrible.
I mentioned this last time, but like, give me a lineup of like 5 Bond movies where one of them is Die Another Day, and say, find the American one. You will not have trouble.
But No Time to Die looks fantastic, and the bad guy in this is going to be Rami Malek, who's awesome.
I know that name. Who's he?
He is the main character of Mr. Robot, and also was in the Queen movie.
He's
played
Josh
Mercury.
in Until Dawn.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I couldn't believe it when I looked up like a side by side. Obviously, there's an age difference, but I'm like, oh shit, that's totally him.
Yeah, Rami Malek is really good, and I can't wait to see him as a devious villain, because he has the chops for it. Because in Mr. Robot, he is definitely an anti-hero.
Even in Until Dawn, there's like a certain quality about him where you're like there's certain the way he talks to certain characters, you're like there's more that can be done with this.
Yeah, so I'm really looking forward to this. Apparently, Christoph Waltz is in this as Blofeld at some point. I don't know how.
Opening sequence, baby.
But the funny thing is, he's captured in this, and part of what happened at the end of Spectre was that he let him go.
No. Like, he didn't kill him. He was arrested because it was one of those bullshit moments where like it's a trope that everybody hates.
Yeah.
Where like you can kill henchmen until your like trigger finger gets tired, but no, I won't kill the main villain. I'm not a killer.
Scores of people, like just Uncharted. You know, he's literally a psychopath. He's been murdering guys.
I mean, like
left and right,
he tried playing it off cool at the end, like I'm out of ammo, but like you're surrounded by cops, dude. Any one of you could just fucking shoot the supervillain who's like,
and the world would be a better
engineered
place
this entire movie.
The world would be a better place without. Just do it. But anyway.
Oh, by the way, speaking of Blofeld,
no smokestack to drop him down in.
yeah, wait for it. But speaking of Blofeld lore that was corny, You didn't necessarily realize that Christoph Waltz was Blofeld at first, but by the
That's
end of
true.
the movie, something exploded in his face. That's how he got the scar. I've always wanted to know how he got the scar, and now I know.
Jesus Christ. Yeah. So I forgot that like they did the same thing that they did to us in Into Darkness, where we fucking knew that Benedict Cumberbatch was Khan. Come on, but they covered it up and said he was a different character. It's like no, he's Khan, and he turned out to be Khan. It's the same thing, you know. Christoph Waltz very much looked like he was going to be a Blofeld like character. You can't. You
Well,
can't hide this
that's
from
the
me.
thing. Like the thing with Into Darkness though was it was like I am pause for dramatic effect Khan, and you're supposed to already know who that is. Whereas in the Wrath of Khan, if you're a hardcore fan of
You
the
know
TV
from one
series,
episode.
that would mean something to you. But
Yeah.
even if you weren't, they build up why Khan is important in
Yeah.
that movie.
Sure. Well, this new movie is going to be directed by Kari Joji Fukunaga, who was the director and executive producer of the first season of True Detective, which is might be my wife's like favorite season of TV show ever.
I heard good things.
Yeah, and I've never seen it, but I really want to. That's the one with Woody Harrelson and what's his name? All right. What's his name?
Andre 3000.
You are
Hey!
correct, but
Joe
not
Pesci.
correct. No.
Actually, no. Joe Pesci was okay.
Jesus Christ! Why can't I remember who's fucking name?
Jesse Eisenberg. It's called
Matthew McConaughey.
Zombieland.
Matthew McConaughey. Jesus Christ.
Okay.
But anyway, yeah. So I'm excited to see what they do with this one. You know, it has good bones, but so did the last one. So who the hell knows? But you know, it might just be one of those where every other Bond, every other Daniel Craig movie is really fucking good. So I don't know. But we'll see, right? And I think with that said, I think we could close the door on this. I mean, there's other stuff to explore. We didn't explore like as many of the books because we don't know them, and the Daniel Craig era video games I know less about. So I think we could maybe visit that another time once we've done some more research. Why don't we move on to fan stuff?
Yeah.
Let's do that.
So School Filmer has a few things to say.
Great.
Tamagotchi, I did have a virtual pet at some point. Don't know where it is now.
I had a Gigapet. I had a
Same.
Yeah,
like
I think
the
I might
little
have had one of
robot.
those back in the day.
Yeah.
The DSiWare delisting thing shows why digital-only things don't have much of a long-time plan. I prefer my stuff physical, and I say that as someone who bought a lot of games on the 3DS and Switch eShops. Personally, I think streaming services are convenient, but I prefer DVD and Blu-ray for their extra content. Yeah,
Me too.
like bloopers and miscellaneous stuff.
I mean,
Anyway, turns out
they're good for like a cursory watch. Sometimes
Yeah.
the way I'll do it is like if I really like something on a streaming service, I'll go out and buy it after.
you get the movie for the complete package.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So anyway, turns out the Borderlands glitch thing wasn't a glitch, and I deleted that save file for naught. If I just stepped out of the DLC areas, it would have been business as usual. If this doesn't prove I'm a frazzled bundle of nerves who gets anxious about something being off and I'm used to it, then I don't know what. I made some solid progress to Borderlands 2 lately, and like the first game, I'll wait until the base is finished before starting the DLC. I did start the DLC Mr. Torgue's Campaign of Carnage a bit early, so it might be easier than normal, but it was worth it to watch at the opening cutscene. And then Austin Powers to be brought up. I had those movies on DVD, and I don't know where they went. And Double Dragon Neon is on the Switch's eShop in Europe now. Time to clean out my micro SD card a little.
Oh yeah, such a good
And
game.
then to address our question about like the game breaking glitches and stuff, this one is not a game breaker, but I can't help myself. I was playing the Switch version of Dust and Elysian Tale, and my controller was low on juice. When the battery was depleted, the game just up and crashed.
Oh Jesus.
It wasn't frustrating because the game autosaves at save points, so it didn't take me too far back. So more amusing than anything.
Yeah.
So yeah, like
I heard that
annoying
was a
but not
decent
too
game
annoying.
too.
Yeah, I've
that was
heard
a
good
one.
things.
Yeah.
Living Corpse has a few comments. The 80s was also the era of PG movies having nudity as long as it wasn't sexual or hardcore. Yeah, no
It's
kidding.
true. I think Airplane was like the first movie I ever saw with nudity in it because it was a PG movie.
Yeah, like out of nowhere.
And they did the same thing in Top Secret. There's just straight up nudity in their follow up movie too.
I don't know what my first was. Like Office Space hits you out of nowhere. I think that was
Office
like,
Space, really?
hey, check Channel 9. You know
Oh yeah,
that one
yeah,
second
yeah,
where
yeah.
like the joke is like that's the joke. Like
Yeah,
this is what he's doing
it's
with
a
his time.
it's a breast exam. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah, it's like a clinical thing.
yeah,
All
yeah.
right, so more Living Corpse stuff. So the plot with the world is not enough is the baddies want to bomb an area that several companies use for their oil pipeline, contaminating it so people will be forced to use the villain's oil pipeline. That's very Goldfinger, actually.
Mm,
And they would do this by inserting plutonium into the nuclear
there you go.
reactor of a submarine to cause a meltdown. Arguably worse than a nuclear bomb, because while the explosion would be less, there's a lot more nuclear material being kicked up and used as a dirty bomb. And then he also
Huh?
says about the video
Forgot
game
about that.
fight against the ninja. I love the ninja boss fight, but that was Nightfire, not Agent Under Fire. My bad. They're both fire things. I conflated them.
And they're both good. They're both decent
Yeah,
games.
they are. And then one more comment from Living Corpse. I'm wondering if IO's interactive Bond game will give us multiple ways to tackle a mission. Their Hitman games have a lot of replayability because they do that, and they give you different ways to complete a mission, assassinate a target. I'm hoping we can go complete stealth as an option and kill targets only, since their Hitman games have a challenge called Silent Assassin, which, by the way, shout out to Hitman 2, Silent Assassin, like OG Hitman
Yeah.
2. Suit only, where you go completely stealthy, never being spotted, never using a disguise, kill only the targets, destroy any evidence if cameras record you. Bond's a spy, so he should be stealthy, and since it's an origin story, I imagine he was more cautious and unsure in his early years. Yeah, Pierce Brosnan was
I think
way
that
later,
like
where it's just explosions and shit.
I read like an article about like the different ways of stealthing a game. Like you could the agent, the conman, and the thief. The thief doesn't get spotted and like takes the target item without getting seen at whatsoever. Not even by cameras, not even by people. The
Sure.
agent is one who uses various trinkets and like and the conman is the one who he basically
Social
tells him that
engineering.
he's like he basically uses his charm and
Conversation
charisma
skills.
Yeah,
yes,
yeah.
basically
Like a
confuse
real life
like,
hacker. Like I remember.
he lies his way through the goal.
Yeah, social engineering. Yeah.
Well, yeah, like no, like it's like real life hacking. Like I remember seeing an old web comic, like an old SMBC comic, where it was like what people think hacking is, and it's a guy furiously typing like I'm breaking through the firewall,
Yeah,
and then it's
no.
like what real hacking is, and it's a guy on a payphone like my name is Robert Hackerman, can I please have your password? And the guy's like sure, like, that's like there you go.
Yeah,
Not
social
exactly,
engineering. Like weaknesses are the humans involved.
Yeah.
Like, it's one
but
of the
analog
things.
All right,
hacking.
so we got a couple more comments here. Sabrina Hengel says, "Oops, I might have missed the actual comment because I picked up a question." So,
Lotus, what do we pay you for? Come on.
looks like I'm paying the price on this one. Yeah, I might have copied the wrong thing, so I'm gonna go look that one up. But in the meantime, Baka Sensei says, I was going to make a comment on RC about MagFest, but now you said it, and I was hoping for some grain of respect for the fans, volunteers, and just as I was writing this, I found that 6 members of the board resigned. So yeah, he got on that way before we did.
Yep.
After the controversy, it seems the event will be able to recover. On the Bonding series, not a good pun, this is one of the most spoofed series, not only by Austin Powers, but I have to admit is the most British of all. It also had other movies that tackle the tropes, like, yeah, we both forgot this.
Thomas
Johnny
Crown Affair.
English.
Yeah, Johnny
The
English.
Suit, I Spy, I don't know how many others. But
Even True Lies is a spoof.
Kind of,
Bond
yeah.
Movies, yeah.
But didn't like that on Triple X, like with Vin Diesel.
Oh,
On the
geez.
first minutes, they killed off a James Bond-like spy. They do that in Kingsman as well. On another topic, I gotta get a Switch to play Scott Pilgrim. The re-release? Renew? I would say re-release.
Yeah, it's a
port.
re-release. They don't really
they-
do anything extra.
They should add something to the end of the title. Yeah, Scott Pilgrim. Well, complete edition, I guess.
Yeah.
And with and then he has a question. And then one more comment is I don't know if it's a glitch or not, but on Fallout 3 for PS3, you have a weight limit, and you can increase it by increasing your strength, equipment, or perks, like Dark Souls.
So funny.
Somehow, when I was overweight and left my junk on the closest desk, I saved after it got stuck with me being overweight. Or, yeah, like he saved, and after, it got stuck with him being overweight, whether they actually had weight on them or not.
Oh Jesus.
So I had to restart because of
And
it.
that's
some,
so
that's
annoying
some bullshit.
because like when you're overweight in Fallout, you can't You can't quick travel, and you can't fast
Yeah.
travel, and you can't walk regularly. So
Yeah, that's
it's
ass.
so stupid. It
And by the
sucks.
way, I copied every part of Sabrina Hengel's comment except for the actual comments. I just copied the question. So here's the comment. Hope you had a pleasant holiday despite everything that's going on. I don't have a shred of interest in James Bond and still enjoy listening to all 3 parts, so keep it up. So
Oh,
thank you very
thank
much.
you.
I'm glad you enjoyed it. So Sabrina Hengel has a question. Baka Sensei has a question as well. So we're getting questions here.
That's awesome.
And for our question of the week, this is a Baka Sensei question. After hearing the Sega arcades closing in Japan, I was concerned on how we could document or make an archive of the experience of it. Any idea? I know there was also museums for arcades, but I don't know if that would be it. Yeah, that can be kind of tough. I mean, in a way, like a lot of arcade games have been. I mean, we talked about this on RC. You mentioned a few Konami ones, but like a lot of arcade games have eventually been re-released for home consoles. I mean, you're not gonna be surrounded by 1,000 arcade machines. It's gonna be like all on your Switch or something.
Sure.
So like, what you're really missing is the immediate environment that is not the video game
Yeah.
and the social, like the
Like the
human
food
aspect
and
of
all
it.
that stuff, being able to be there with your friends, those
Yeah, because like the
meet people
actual
you've never met
games,
before.
most of them are preserved, but like going to the arcade is a different thing.
My suggestion, I have a kind of a different take on it. Like I agree with what you said, but I think probably one of the best things to do is to create a virtual space. And what they could do is they could in like the next Yakuza game do an even more elaborate recreation of the Sega arcades.
Yeah, they,
Um,
they do have like a 2-floor arcade in Judgment and Yakuza 7, but
7, yeah.
and like they got the
But
claw
I
machines and
mean
stuff, but
have the
yeah.
layout exactly right and also have more games in it and just like have a very accurate experience, almost like a digital museum. I
Yeah.
think that would be a good way to preserve it for time because otherwise maybe even do a documentary with the like the people that have been employees there for a long time.
Yeah,
That would be
go
really
talk to
nice.
the actual go talk to the Japanese employees, and if you want like this is something that like we could not do because we're not in Japan, but like
Sure.
if you want to like fudge it and talk about like it would be a very different kind of arcade experience because we don't have a fucking entire floor of Virtua Fighter 5, but like you could theoretically go to a place like the Galloping Ghost or something and talk to them about kind of what it's like. They're almost more of like a museum than an arcade though.
Yeah, I mean, the only other thing that you can maybe do is maybe set up like a museum foundation and try to recreate spaces that are similar to them in the United States. With acquiring funding and things like that, and nonprofit running it. I mean, there are similar kinds of things going on, but I mean, arcade stuff is really difficult to maintain, mostly because its age. A lot of stuff goes wrong with electronics over time. You wouldn't think that electronics are volatile, but they really are.
Dude,
Um,
go to an arcade, go to Magfest, go to round one. There's always a machine or two that's out of order.
and it's always a machine that you wish you
Yeah,
could be
it's the one that
playing.
I wanted to play,
Yeah,
which makes
exactly.
sense because it's the one that everyone wants to play, which is why it's out of order.
Yeah, it's usually either a really rare or very popular game.
Not to mention, by the way, this is more of a quirk than anything, but like whenever you play an arcade game, you probably want to play on player 2 because everyone plays player 1 and the stick's all
Oh
out of
yeah,
whack or whatever. Or
yeah,
the
yeah.
buttons are a little you have to really mash them to press them because they've been pressed too many times.
I mean, arcade stuff. First of all the old arcade machines utilize CRT tubes, which
That's true.
are not being manufactured anymore, and eventually we will run out of spare parts that we can cannibalize from other non-working cabinets and things like that. Nobody even remembers how to make them. They literally don't know how. Nobody knows how to make them anymore. They have the machinery and maybe the facility to do it in China, I think, but they had to shut it down because they literally didn't have the expertise.
Wow.
Nobody knew how to make
It's
a
that
CRT.
CRT monitors are not that healthy anyway, so
No, they're
no.
Yeah,
not. They're
yeah.
not.
Like
They're cool looking, but they're not
honestly, you
economical.
just
Yeah, they're not.
placing a plasma screen over like in the arcade cabinet is like you can fucking fake the CRT if you want.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're very bad for the environment when you make one. It involves a lot of badass chemicals, like with, for lack of a better term, but a lot of badass chemicals. You're literally shooting radiation at a thing before it gets to your face. So, like there are downsides to them. They're also heavy as shit.
Yeah, that's
Um,
what I was gonna mention. They're 10,000 pounds apiece.
they can electrify you if you are working on them and you don't know what you're doing.
And they can in the like the very old CRT monitors that came from Russia were prone to exploding.
Yeah,
Jesus.
No, I'm
I mean,
not
I
kidding.
guess that is believable though, because they're literally a vacuum tube.
yeah.
Like, I once saw like there's a YouTube channel where the whole channel is just like dropping things or striking things in slow motion, and it just looks really cool. But one of the things he did was he just took a hammer to like a CRT. He just like went through the screen, and you could actually see like a little like suction, like
Oh yeah.
pull some air in when he breaks the hole because it's like it's
Was
like a
it powered
vacuum
on
seal.
at the time, Lotus? Or did
No, that
he?
would be like a
That
terrible idea.
would be really dangerous. Yeah,
That would
especially
be
with a
dumb as
You know,
hammer.
shit.
like
But
I
no,
wouldn't.
he just had like a TV sitting there like in the middle of nowhere, like outside or something, and he broke it. But you see like a little bit of suction when he broke the glass. It was
Sure.
it was actually pretty cool to see, and you would never see it in regular
I
motion,
think
real
the
time
reason
motion.
was that like the Russian TVs didn't have vacuum in it. They had like
Uh,
filled it with some sort of gas.
Oh Jesus Christ!
why? Oh, Russia. Never. Ugh.
So I don't know. The
80s
point was that
Russia, 70s Russia, like
if
The
the
U.S.
monitor
doesn't need to be your enemy if you fall apart on your own. Jeez.
yeah, oh my god.
But
even here in Hungary where they were like there were joke long standing jokes about like so like television sets so dangerous that they would supplement as a bomb. Well,
wow.
Well,
okay,
yeah,
not
that
that,
reminds
probably
me of
not, but
well, no, that reminds me of a line. I've talked with Vice about this like on the phone before, but like in the movie, the Quentin Tarantino movie, *Inglourious Bastards*, which takes place in World War II era, there's a part where they're planning on like burning down this movie theater in a violent manner, and the main character asks her assistants like, do you know where I can get some like explosives? And his response was, don't you mean where I can get some more explosives? It's like, yeah, pretty much.
um, but yeah, I also want to mention that the boards themselves are getting very old as well, and arcade boards, and they need constant maintenance now. A lot of them are very brittle because of how their age. The chips on those are starting to die and you know fragment and just straight up not work anymore. And they a lot of those parts are irreplaceable. And also the capacitors, which have volatile electrolyte fluid in them that are basically acid, are starting to leak all over the boards. Also, a lot of um, a lot of them had battery backup for saving certain data or even copy protection in some instances, and that battery acid is starting to leak through the boards.
Yeah.
So there are volatile components to these things. It's not like that's why like these FPGA emulation is very important because it's literally preserving how these things work uh, in their original instances in their original habitats, and at least we have a document and a map of the circuit boards in FPGA language. It's not just an emulation. It's even it's such it would be disrespect to just call it emulation. It is an emulation, but it's so hardcore in terms of that. Every chip is emulated. So it really stinks that these arcades are kind of going to go by the wayside. And so the best thing that we can do is document what we still have. Try to dig up what exists as a document of things as it is. Also, translate lots of archival material that may have already been created in Japan and hasn't made it over here or has been distributed well.
Or in any country. I mean,
Yeah.
like, I'm like going back
Maybe they have
to
internal
Russia
stuff.
specifically. Like, there's that one Kingsfield, like 2.5 game that was never really meant to be released. I think there were like something crazy. Like, it was like 8 discs made for some like in-house, like, or not in-house, but some like promotional event or something. And somehow somebody found that file on like a Russian website, and then they didn't even translate it from Japanese to English. They translated it, I think, from Russian to English.
Yeah. I mean,
Like, that's nuts. Like, that game should not exist in any form anymore, and it does.
what's good about video games is that they're a relatively new medium, which means that like some of the people that helped pioneer it are still alive. So we could still interview these people while we can. There's a lot of them are starting to die off. Ralph Baer passed away only a couple years ago, but he lived a good long life. But there are plenty of people from the era. Steve Wozniak's still around, and he helped make some of the foundational Atari games. Like we have a lot of these people still around, so interview them as much as possible. Get their archival materials that are still lying around, like all that kinds of stuff. Preserve it while we can. Get help fund nonprofits like the Game Preservation Society. They even have that link on Limited Run, and they said they got the most donations they ever had because you could donate $1 really easily. That was something I participated in. I mean, it's only $1 and it's something I believe in, so why not? But because this was one of the biggest releases for Limited Run ever, they got a lot of those $1. They got over. I think they said over $4,000 went to them, which is really fantastic. Support your nonprofits, support your libraries. Libraries would love to include this kinds of stuff if they had the budget. Librarians
some libraries
love
actually
that.
do it video games.
Yeah, and librarians love archiving things. That's their jam. That's the best part of their job. They love doing this kind of stuff. So, and also document the space. I mean, like get video footage of people playing the games, people enjoying each other, and then
Subscribe to my channel.
it's Patreon.
Won't play.
The Patreon part's
Ring
very
that
important
bell.
for game preservation.
Ring that bell. The whole bit. But yeah, you see what I'm saying now is with Sega dying, Sega's arcade business dying, we're gonna lose that as a cultural imprint, and I've started to realize that there are plenty of other things that are like that too, because of what's been happening during the global pandemic. Philadelphia is losing a lot of its like famous restaurants because they can't stay in business for a whole year and not make any money. And it's going to be over a year by the time this is all done, and it may even just be 2. It may be 2 years. It may be less than that if we're lucky. I hope. But we're going to lose those places as cultural institutions. Their unique dishes, their atmosphere, their clientele. So the best thing that we can do is document what we have of what we love and while we have it. Talk to the owners of these places. Interview them. Even if they allow their recipes to be archived, do that for them. Because we're gonna lose some of these things that can't be replaced, and that's just what time does. Unfortunately, these institutions are living, breathing things. They are not something static. And eventually, we won't have any CRTs at all within our lifetime, too. So play them while you can too. Support these places while you can, so they can live as long as they can. Anybody else want to make a point about that?
No, I'm good.
No,
Okay.
I'm good.
Did I pretty much say it?
Yeah, I have an equally long speech.
I brought my own pulpit. I didn't try to steal one, thankfully.
Yeah.
That's the only thing I'm gonna make a reference to regarding that. But
I hate when I get pulpit inside of my orange it. My orange juice it.
I know, I got it. You're like Norm Macdonald.
One of my favorite Quentin Tarantino movies is Pulp Fiction it.
You're like Norman Macdonald. This is like, yeah, that's a joke about premature ejaculation.
Emperor Pulpit.
But anyway, that is the show for this week, folks. We want to thank all of our fans who contributed questions and comments. Man, you guys did a great job. Please keep us supplied with awesome topics by submitting questions of your own via the YouTube and Soundcloud pages. You may have heard that we have gotten a few. Do not let up. We need to have a healthy backlog. While there, please give us thumbs ups, likes, and 5-star ratings on iTunes. It helps promote and spread awareness of the show, and any bit of encouragement helps keep the show going. You can also catch us on Tuesday on our sister podcast, Reactive Consciousness, the in-depth look at this week in our lives. And you should document us documenting ourselves on this
Very
podcast, because eventually Lotus will be bored, and he will leave us all. Finally,
Fuck this, I hope someone documented it.
Why don't you learn how to do a better intro? Fuck off.
It's the same script every time. You change one number. Jesus Christ.
A great show literally every week. How do you even know?
That's unfeasible.
There has to be some kind of variance. Finally, you can friend me as vysethebold on virtually everything.
And you can follow me on my YouTube channel, Lotus Prince. You can hit me up on Twitter at Lotus Prince. And finally, if you are interested in seeing my videos early, getting in on exclusive live streams, selecting upcoming games for me to Let's Play, or getting in conversations with me and other patrons on Discord, then perhaps consider swinging by my Patreon account, which can be found at patreon.com/LotusPrince.
And you can find me on Skype, Discord, and on Steam as under Dracologist.
Wonderful. Well, we will catch up with everybody very soon on a new episode of Recon on Tuesday, where we will go over stuff I can only dream of. We'll catch you then.
Until next time, everyone.
Good evening.